Fantastic. Right, let's share the screen and we shall kick off proceedings into today. So, firstly, a massive hello and welcome to everyone on this sort of sizzling peak summer, isn't it? I mean, what could you ask for? 35, 40 degrees perhaps? It's fantastic British weather. What more could we ask for? So, here we are on a supervised and substance misuse evening call for our Blackpool Council contractors and any head office colleagues that we may also have. And can I firstly just start by giving a huge thank you, if I may, to the council leadership team, and in particular Judith Mills, and also from Horizon. We have Lewis Wild, who will also be presenting today, who have actually supported our ongoing sort of agreements, adjustments since and over the last few months. And it goes out to, like I said, a massive thank you on our behalf to all of them. And also, secondly, as you would imagine, a huge thank you to yourselves, our contractors, our teams, our professionals, uh, both of those who are in attendance tonight and also those who'll be watching us back. Hello to everyone watching us back as well. And it's all about a massive thank you in support of our patients, this particular cohort of customer, not just this, of course, especially across Blackpool. It's wider. It's also the CVD risk that you've been supporting hugely across the ICB footprint, in particular Blackpool. Huge impression that you've had with your blood pressure checks, your ABPM checks. So a whole holistic piece of gathering that intel and in support of our neighbourhoods. So again, a huge thank you. On to some introductions, if I may. And so those of you who may not know me, Mubashir Ali, Chief Executive at Community Pharmacy in Lancashire and South Cumbria. We also have a few of our board members and also Kath, our Executive Chair, on the call as well. We also have Lewis Wild, who's the Head of Operations at Horizon. We have Gemma McAdam, the Services Manager, who will also be helping support with the presentations. And we also have Leanne Lee, on behalf of the council, be the assertive outreach worker and harm reduction champion, who's going to take us through a couple of snippets. So on the next slide, we have a broad outline agenda. So the welcome introduction from myself, and then we'll go over to the Horizon team, and they'll take us through the SLA updates. They'll take us through the go live, the enhanced package and activity fees. And then, of course, what we will do next is open it up for any question and answer. For anybody, we'll allow raising your hands. We'll also go to the chat function, wherever works best for anyone on the call. And then after that, we'll go across to Leanne, who'll take us through the needle exchange service, an overview, and also future options. In particular, hopefully we'll have a little look at naloxone pilot. And then at the end, just for consistency and allow our contractors, so this is a confidential contractor update to the very end, just to allow an open question and answer between ourselves as your representative organisation and yourselves as contractors. So all
No,
contractors,
I'm just trying to lock iPhone to resume.
Bash, you're on mute.
I shall hand over to proceedings. Thanks, Alec. To Lewis, if I can hand over to yourself to take us through.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you, Mubashir. I hope I'm not going to bore everyone. You're more energetic in your delivery, so please. It's been a long day, so just bear with me. I'll try not to PowerPoint everyone to death. So there's just a few slides, so I'll share them now. But thanks for the introduction, and thanks for all the hard work as well, Mubashir, on getting us all together, having the conversations, on behalf of all your members and everyone that you're representing. So no, just a big thank you for the work you've done on this. Hopefully this will share if it's all worked. Slideshow from begin. Is that, I can only see yourself, Mubashir. Is that on? Yeah. Okay. So it's not just myself. Obviously, my name, Lewis Wild, Head of Operations for Treatment and Recovery, which covers Delphi and Acorn Services, which is part of the Horizon contract. And also we've got Gemma, if you're there. I can't see.
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, Gemma McAdam, service manager for the Horizon service. Okay, so Gemma, I think you're going to support me a little bit if there's some gaps that need filling. So, for those that don't know, obviously Horizon across Blackpool is what the commission service is. So, what I'm going to cover today really is what is Horizon, the different teams and the services within the Horizon offer, referrals and assessments into the service, and then like Mubasha was saying, then some of the key changes for the SLA, and then open it up for some questions at the end. So it's not too intensive. I'm going to try not to talk too much about Renaissance because I know Leanne's here and she'll give a bit more of an overview for that. So Horizon is the commission service from Blackpool Council covering drug and alcohol and sexual health for Blackpool residents. We offer information around health screening, treatment and counselling. We support clients on their journey, whether that's reducing drugs or alcohol or helping people to stop altogether. And I think we have, Gemma, if I'm right, in structured and unstructured treatment up at around about 1,400 service users in total across the two services that we'll discuss.
Yeah, that's correct.
And obviously, as part of that commissioning for Horizon solely, we've obviously got Delphi Medical, Acorn, Renaissance, and obviously Blackpool Council as one of the key oversights for the commission. So Delphi, for those that don't know, Delphi provide the clinical and psychosocial support for those affected by drugs and alcohol within the service. Acorn provide the psychosocial and aftercare support, but they really look at the behaviour change. They look at different stages. They deliver our community rehab. They're quite an integral part of our service offer, and they are our lived experience organisation within our bigger company, which is the Calico Group. But I'd need about 5 or 6 more slides to go into depth about the bigger picture that we offer across the Northwest. So that's Acorn. And then obviously Renaissance, who currently deliver the harm reduction, sexual health, and other aspects as well, which Leanne may touch on. So Horizon is made up of a number of teams. We've got the sexual health and harm reduction service, which is delivered by Renaissance as part of the contract. Clients can engage with assertive outreach and can engage by visiting them. The staff will engage at home and bringing clients to service. So we're quite connected, aren't we, Gemma, in terms of when we see clients that are in structured treatment that are not, we have a really robust process and a pathway to engage with our colleagues in Renaissance to start that outreach work and get people, safe, engaging again and back into service, really. So that's one of our key teams approaches. We provide the treatment and the psychosocial support for those affected by drugs at Winston House. So we did change the service, I believe, in January 2023 with the go live for the alcohol service on the back of feedback, where clients were asked around, what's going to engage more people, around stigma of the service being as a whole. And as a result of that kind of the forums that we had, we decided that we would break away and have an alcohol only service, which is at Dixon Road, which is now called the Lighthouse. So I'm hoping that that's been promoted across all your kind of service areas. And that's been going live now. I think it was January 2003, but that's increased the actual numbers into treatment massively. I think we've seen at one point we doubled those in structured treatment within the alcohol team, which was a huge result. But again, we still have a lot of work to do there. Acorn obviously deliver a lot of the psychosocial behaviour change support alongside our OST within the service, and having that lived experience approach is really key for galvanizing the teams together and giving the service users, somebody at the first point of contact, someone who's been there as well, which is really good, and it does engage more people. But obviously we do have other services that engage in terms of a lived experience approach within Blackpool. Our therapist team, which we've recently just changed the name for to counsellors across Delphi and Acorn, that's the team that's growing. We are looking at CBT therapists within the alcohol service, and we've increased the numbers of counsellors within the team. So that's a growing team. Those within the criminal justice sector. We have our own team there that work with clients both from court and prisons and probation on different orders. So we've got a team that support around criminal justice, and that's going to be important in the coming weeks with the changes and the reform in terms of 40% sentences. And I know Gemma's working hard with prison teams and stuff to mitigate the risk of large numbers attending on set days. We have our clinical team, which is made up of doctors, nurses, and non-medical prescribers, but I think we are enhancing that with some HCAs, I believe, Gemma, within the service delivery. And one of the big...
Sorry, Lewis, we have 2 healthcare assistants, which is quite new for us, so they're going to provide valuable support to our nurses teams.
No, that's good. And that's a new thing for this year, isn't it? That's a bit of a change. One of the big changes that we had, for those that understand what was happening in terms of the ADA project, that's now changed slightly. And we've created, well, Gemma's been fundamental in creating and supporting the new model, which is the Oasis team, which is, it's a team name within the service. So we don't obviously say to the service users, you're in the Oasis service. It's still Horizon, but it's for those with multiple complex needs. And that team is predominantly made up of Delphi and Renaissance key workers, but it's complemented by a whole host of different professionals and services, such as housing, mental health homeless team. We've got the lived experience team from the LET. The LET team that are there. We've also got, I think, probation engage. We've got IPS. So there's a whole host of support that's within that service. And that has up to 300 clients. That's what we've kind of put on that service, but we're not near that at the moment, and that will engage people who traditionally haven't engaged into structured treatment, and then move them into the core service within the Delphi and the within Horizon's offer. And then lastly, we have the admin team, which a lot of you will be aware of. We've got the prescriber admins, which you engage with on a daily basis. They provide all the prescriptions, making sure that they're all ready from us creating the batch and getting them signed and passed on to yourselves, and any queries and questions. So that team is somebody that you'll probably engage with a lot more. And then we obviously have admin teams throughout the different service areas within Horizon that you will engage with also. And that just supports a smooth run of the service. We have recently had a renovation, and as a result, we've now got receptionists, and we've also got the what we saying now, the
Meeters and greeters.
Meeters and greeters, that's it. So they're like volunteers that are coming in and offering quite an integral support, because we had a lot of feedback of old that people didn't want to come to Winston House or to the service because they weren't kind of looked after, they weren't engaged, they were kind of left alone, it was bleak. And it's been a huge renovation, which Gemma was integral in making sure that it was psychologically informed, it was open plan, it meets the needs of the service users coming in. And I think we've had really good feedback as a result of that, and more people seem to come into service, which is what we were after. As much as going to them and meeting their needs, it's great that we've got kind of a focal point now for the opiate, non-opiate element of the service. This is the referrals element. So obviously this is how we will receive the referrals. So by themselves as a self-referral, or by professionals like yourself, GPs and so on. And these can be made over the phone, online, via email, and by post. And like Mubasha was saying, we'll put some of this in the chat. But one of the things as well is we have QR codes, which in some of the new ways of working that we can build upon in forums like this, is if we can get our QR codes in all your kind of pharmacies, so that we can have people scanning and getting support and accessing the referral forms and getting themselves referred into service quicker would be quite beneficial for us, and obviously yourself supporting your customers that are coming through the door. So that's kind of the avenues of referrals that we've got. Is there any update, Gemma, in terms of where we're progressing in terms of referrals?
Yeah, so what we're hoping to do is to be able to repopulate our case management system from referrals. This will save time, and also almost automate some of the assessment process again, to save time, but also to sort of encourage clients to be thinking about the sort of things that we'll be looking at when they enter treatment with us. So as you can imagine, that's quite a big task. We've got to liaise with our case management system. So we're hoping at least by the end of this year, we'll go live, and we will be then promoting like mad that QR code and referring online. We'll obviously be able to take the referrals over the phone and via email and post, because not everyone has a smartphone, but just for professionals it'll be a really easy process to refer in.
No, that's great. And then again, these are just some of the details that we'll put into the chat and get them shared across to everybody. So some of the key changes in regards to the current SLA that most of you will be on is the new unit costs. So we will be up in the unit costs. So methadone will go to £2.50, Esplanor to £2.50, and for the sublingual supervised buprenorphine, that will go to £3.50 to obviously to cover that extended timeframes that you do see when offering that session to the customer. The second point is around the expansion for the use of appropriately trained members of staff to supervise consumption under the supervision of the pharmacist, because we do recognise that, you know, your time as pharmacist is crucial, and we do it within services in terms of having healthcare assistants doing tasks and so on and so on. So we've recognised that, and that is a change that's been applied into the SLA. And finally, we will be removing the DOC from farmer outcomes, which is part of the requirements section within the SLA. So they're the three key kind of changes that we've done from the last one that you'll currently be on. And then it's just, again, to acknowledge that we have around 700 service users on OST. Not all of them will be daily supervised, but within the week, you will see across the whole of the Blackpool demograph up to 700 service users. So it's just to reflect, you know, all the hard work that you do have and the demands, and it is appreciated from us as a drug and alcohol service, all the hard work that you do, and we have had some good feedback from our kind of prescriber admin team and stuff. So it's just a big thank you, really, and hopefully, you know, this acknowledges that, you know, costs have changed and you need time back and stuff, because sometimes it's not all about just upping a cost, it's about giving time back, because that has a cost, etc., doesn't it? So that was one of the big changes. I don't know if Mubasher wants to come in on that a bit further.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Louise, thanks. And clearly this forms part of ongoing debates and or negotiation, if you like, which has been the case for I know many months. So Louise, thanks for bearing with us. I know these things take time, but there's a couple of key anecdotes. The final points being covered in the contract only section, but just the three probably most important elements have a direct implication in your day-to-day operations. And I think it's worth adding this relaxation, as it was, ties in with the national sort of perspective and picture, as we've seen with our Pharmacy First and our hypertension plans and the service spec agreements. But this also means and doesn't change the fact that the contractor will still be responsible, for ensuring the effective level of training, the importance of whichever member you choose to be, providing this service at whatever level has the accountability and is well documented across your SOPs, etc., whatever training means that you wish to utilize. There are several training options that can be utilized. They're on the CPP website, and you don't have to register. I know it's for registered professionals, but you don't have to register. There's several sites across there for a bit of a skill mix. We'll try and add a few in the chat function for you. Probably the best one so far, as a summary overview, would be the government guidelines that have just been recently updated. Covers off safeguarding, quality assurance, confidentiality, the comms, transfer of care. You know, the sort of real common threads that are really critical for this vulnerable sort of set of population customers that we support. So I'm just going to say a massive thanks again to everyone, like I said previous, for skill mix maximization. A huge impact on contractors when the funding is stretched so far. That is probably the best response I could give at this stage. And just look at the vast number. Just look at that slide, 700 you are supporting. It's such a tight geography as well, Lewis. It's such a tight geography. It's credit to every single individual who's supporting, both on your side, Lewis, for the council, and also for our contractors. And no doubt with the prison implication, that may well rise. And if we are well prepped for that, effective, respectful remuneration, there's a chance we can work together on future projects. So much appreciated, Lewis. Back to yourself.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. Obviously, I think the go live date, Mubashir, are we sharing at this point, or so? Yeah, I'll pass over to you again.
Yeah. So this is I think again one of a kind, to be honest, and we're in a very privileged position, and I can't express my thanks enough. We are actually going to try and introduce these. If I not try, we are going to introduce this as a joint agreement from the 1st of August. There's actually a mid-year service spec change with the criteria you've just seen. So we're not having to wait for until the end of the year. So the council, Lewis and the team have gone away, and we've obviously forecasted. We've gone to the council leadership teams, and they've agreed to an in-year change from the 1st of August. So of course, naturally, in terms of financials, that's a huge benefit. But that doesn't necessarily mean, that you have to be stretched or, quickly adjust your current operations if you can't succeed for the first. The added value of the financials is great, but if that means it takes you a couple of weeks to get your SOP sorted and stick to your current regime with professionals, no issue. Yeah, the ball is in your court. You have total control of your workforce, your control that you have on your workload as well. And I think that's really important that we emphasize that to each and every contractor who's on the call. But of course, any contractor who is on and who watches this back will know the sooner that is maximized, the better it will be for both yourselves and your teams. But I thought it was really important we express our thanks for the 1st of August go live. And hence why the SLA, the service spec change that Lewis has alluded to, all the current content, the key contacts, the new QR code, which will make life easier, will all be sent out following this webinar. So you can have a good review, a good read, and any questions, any comments, again, send it back to ourselves at the LPC CPLSC office, or of course, Lewis will send it via their email. Feel free to come back to any party. Thanks, Lewis. So it was just obviously Kaylee Toppin, who's our lead pharmacist, would have been doing this presentation and going through this. So when we do send everything out, we'll put Kaylee's email in there, and it is in the SLA, so you can use that if you've not got that. But also any new contractors that want to come on board, there'll be details as well shared for how and the process for that for new people to come on board. So and just thanks to Gemma, because Gemma actually did the majority of them slides. I did a couple of tweaks, but so Gemma, thanks for them slides. I'm not going to take credit for something I've not done. So no, thank you again for that, Gemma. So any questions for myself or Gemma? Obviously, our lead pharmacist isn't here, so I can't cover any of the nitty gritty in terms of the clinical aspect. So I will take any questions back, and I will bring them back to Mubashir, and they can be shared, or we can directly converse and get them questions answered. Sorry. So it's just over to yourself. Thank you. So, like I said at the beginning, I will open it up to the floor first, if I may. Anybody wishes to raise their hand for any comments or any questions, and then we'll go across the chat function if there is anything additional. So if there's any questions, anybody feel free to just raise your hand on the digital tool. If you can't, if you want to come on camera, just raise your hand. Okay, I don't think we have any coming in, which again is always a good sign. We'll have a quick look at the chat function, if that's all right, Lewis, before we proceed. We had a couple of questions earlier, Carter. Thanks for just double checking the slides. Gemma's already responded, and so did I at the same time, I think. So those will be shared, which is great news. Abid, much appreciated. Kaylee's details are already on there. And I think we've got one from Alec. I will understand that Bruce will take a while to review and return a signed SLA. Yes, we understand, and we know. So everything in the multiple teams involved. However, I know our stores will be able to and willing to continue to provide and work towards a new service. Can I just say, Alec, that is really appreciated. That is fantastic, and thanks for your local efforts in maintaining this provision. Because I know it can be, and it's the right, criteria. The legal team, you have to follow the right process. But that is really well appreciated. Thank you very much for that, Alec. Give us that confidence. And I think Roger was on. I think he's already also given us a thumbs up on a well perspective, Lewis. So if there is any changes, I'm sure Roger will let us know. So if there's no further questions at this stage, like I said earlier, after the next session, we're going to hand over to Leanne. After that session, we will have a contractor only. So then you can break free and ask me whatever you wish. So it'll be a closed conversation. And that will also not be recorded. All right, okay. If I could kindly just hand over now to Leanne, who's the assertive outreach worker and harm reduction champion, to take us through some of the needle exchange and some new future proposals. Thank you.
Hi there, yes. As mentioned before, I'm part of the assertive outreach team with Renaissance, that we work closely with Delphi and Acorn, engaging clients who've dropped out of treatment and also accepting new referrals for new clients into treatment. So what I'm going to discuss today is regarding our needle exchanges within Blackpool. At the moment, we have 10 needle exchanges available throughout Blackpool and 9 pharmacies. The 10th one is actually within my office at Renaissance. We actually have a needle exchange within our building. This can also be accessed the same as any other pharmacist needle exchange. You can just come in off the street. Whilst we've got 10, the one at Renaissance, obviously, if we do have people coming in to access our needle exchange, we would then offer harm reduction advice. We also, with every single person that does come in, we offer naloxone. At the moment, we are offering double naloxone due to the increase in fentanyl and nitazenes at the moment and synthetic opioids within heroin. We've also started a 3-month pilot at Talbot Pharmacy, rolling out naloxone for anybody that is accessing their needle exchange. If it's successful, and obviously funding dependent, we'll be looking to roll it out in other pharmacies throughout Blackpool. Again, especially with the increase in synthetic opioids, fentanyl and nitazenes within heroin at the moment. So obviously naloxone plays a major part in that. If you just excuse me, please.
Just while we wait.
Sorry. Yeah, so obviously, as I said, at the moment, with the harm reduction view and also with nitazenes and fentanyl, it's really important at the moment with the rollout of naloxone. So we've got the 3-month pilot running at Talbot Road Pharmacy. And as said, if it is successful and funding dependent, we can offer naloxone throughout other pharmacies. We also offer, myself, I will deliver any training around naloxone or nitazenes that's needed before the pharmacy rolls out the naloxone pilots. We also, at the moment, we are going to distribute ketamine posters to each and every pharmacy at the moment also. Starting from tomorrow, they're going to be put up in each pharmacy regarding ketamine use, because obviously we've seen an increase in ketamine use and recreational drug use within Blackpool. So we will be having posters available up in each pharmacy for anybody that needs it, also with QR codes to access for referrals or any support around that also. So obviously everybody, like, we know about harm reduction, and we know about the importance, of having needle exchanges within Blackpool or within any area. Obviously, this is a positive effect with the reduction of bloodborne virus infections amongst injecting drug users. It's also a cost-effective way to prevent bloodborne virus outbreaks. And it's also another positive way for injecting drug users or drug users to be able to access available treatment systems for drug support. And it also provides access to helpful treatment and other services. Obviously, within our NX on Dixon Road at Renaissance, as we said, if somebody is accessing our needle exchange, they can self-refer there and then. They have access to naloxone, they have signposting to housing, signposting to other services, mental health services, and also our available sexual health services within the Renaissance building, and there and then screening, and also bloodborne virus screening. I think I have covered everything that I was asked to cover. I was only told about this yesterday, so you would have to bear with me. But I think I've covered everything that I was meant to cover. It's just basically that obviously Blackpool were quite the fact that we have got 10 needle exchange services is quite a lot compared to other areas, and the fact that hopefully in the future these can be rolling out naloxone also if the 3-month pilot at Talbot Road is successful. That's what we'll be looking for in the future moving forward, is getting as much naloxone out there as possible, and as much naloxone awareness and training. And I think obviously everybody will agree the best places to be doing that would be within needle exchange services and pharmacies.
Fantastic, Leanne, and thanks. I was going to mention, you come in last minute to save the day, and it's a fantastic presentation. So it's a massive well done, because unfortunately Alison was actually off. She wasn't well, to be honest, and she'd literally come back and she couldn't make it. So Leanne's kindly stepped in. So I'm just going to say a huge thanks. It gives a really good overview. And we have had a couple of questions, if I could just go to those. One of those may have already been answered by yourself. I'm just going to go a step back if I can. One for Lewis, actually, if I could. Lewis and Gemma. So with regards to obviously the prison reform support that you touched on earlier, we're obviously already seeing an increase. And I think you've just answered that, to be honest, in the chat function. But if you could just come off, perhaps if it was Lewis, I think, just if you could just give us a bit.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was typing it in there because Gemma, we've just updated the commissioners, haven't we, or yourself has, in terms of your next stage. So I don't know if you just want to give a brief overview.
Yeah, so we don't actually have the numbers yet. We're hoping that we will have it 6 weeks before the 10th of September, because that's sort of the sort of timelines probation are working with. But we are working with probation. We're also working with other agencies across Blackpool, and we're planning almost a one-stop shop at Winston House. That's with regards to any prison releases that are focused on alcohol, as well as opiate, non-opiate. It would be good to have or be able to inform some of the different pharmacies across Blackpool around numbers. So if anybody wants to type in the chat email addresses, we can keep you in the loop with that. We don't know numbers, so we are preparing for a all hands on deck situation, if I'm honest. And we're also preparing for prison leavers who don't come in the first day because of whatever reason. And then we're sort of getting a drip feed of people coming in the week. What we are going to try and do is be a bit more proactive with the prisons, get in touch with them, explain what we've got on offer, for those coming back to Blackpool, with the hope that if we put maybe tea and toast on in the morning, and coffee and cake in the afternoon, people will be like, yeah, okay, let's get this done and get my OST sorted. So yeah, we can keep you updated around that.
Yeah, and I think on that basis, Gemma, thanks for the update. And also, Louis, thanks for answering that in the chat. Alec, I'll come to you in just a second. So on that note, in terms of comms, yeah, we work quite very closely with Louis. So any comms that need to go out, contractors, we will coordinate that and support that. That's not an issue. We'll also work closely with the council to get that message out, because there's also an influx in other pharmacies potentially. So we just have to be a little bit cautious. And we are also in support, Louis, in terms of the sudden influx. Feel free to include us in those sort of steering conversations, as we've offered across county council at the same time. So Alec, if I can come over to yourself.
Yeah, Bash, I think you probably just touched on it there, where I was going to say I'm more than happy to field local communications with the local stores. I work for Boots, but certainly say them with the LPC, because they'll have a wider range and reach from myself, and obviously they'll be a lot more aware of what contractors and how they're performing and how they're being supported throughout the whole of Blackpool. And just to touch on why I asked the question, is that when we've seen pockets around, I work NHS Northwest, so Liverpool, Manchester, even the likes of like Burnley, where we see a lot of prison reform going into, the change in volumes can be 10, 20, 30% of the service users, and you do have a lot when you touch on the fact that you've got 700. So it's just the expectation is that if heaven forbid you had dozens released on a weekend and you needed support, it's just if they'll obviously know, or they'll have a choice of where they want to go to on a contractor basis. But if we know that you're going to come to us and ask us to support an extra dozen patients, any contractor would question that or struggle with that perspective, where we'll any proactive acknowledgement of numbers or planned activity, we can support that from a superintendent point of view, extra cabinets, extra cupboards, extra resources. But obviously not every contractor has the support network like we do with Boots, so obviously the more advanced knowledge that they have, the more proactive they can be. That's just to avoid anyone missing out on anyone, because I know how quickly prison release can go and how complicated it can be for the patients or the service users. So yeah, that's why. Thanks.
Much appreciate, Alec. And like I said, we'll stay very close to Lewis and Gemma. He's put a bit of an estimate of 3,000 nationally, so that gives us a sort of a rough overview, very, very rough, of course. So if I just open it up for any other final sort of questions at this stage, in terms of SLAs or deal exchange, etc., raise your hands. So I will just go back to finish off, Alec, just to confirm if pilot is successful and the lots of provision be available in all pharmacies, or just those offering the exchange. So I think the answer sort of touched on that, but we will get a confirmation once we've had a chat with the council on the finalised. No doubt it'll go out as an expression of interest, but it may be restrictive on how they feel the supply is. But as Diana said, it's so important. The outreach, I think, probably may well surpass the current size. But let's not comment. Let's allow the council and the leadership team to come back with a proposal, if that is okay. Hence why we're in pilot phase. And thanks to the guys who are supporting us in that pilot as part of the Email group. That's fantastic. Okay, we have nothing more. I'd just like to, before I sort of ask the commissioners, the teams to leave, before we have the contractor-only conversation, in the future, we are proposing to continue this regular liaison because, as most of you probably realise, this is also a bit of CPD for us. You've learned some bits, you learned some things around how things work across Blackpool. So there's always that option to tick that box at the same time. And we actually did have a proposal to ask Kaylee to cover off some of the naloxone, some of the clinical guidelines. A really good presentation we've had from Kaylee in the past. And we are proposing, if we continue, in the future, we will probably ask her to come on. And not just that, we'll have other, street drugs, whatever you think is most appropriate. A quick refresher on the SLA for your teams, whatever that may be. So any suggestions, any options that you have, please feel free to add it into the chat, whilst we're still here. Anything else, please feel free to email us, and we'll certainly get that fed back to Lewis and the team and the council. And I'm sure we can try and get something arranged, perhaps once a quarter, once every 6 months, whatever that looks like, to ensure we are at the top of our game. So if there's no further questions, I shall kindly say a massive thank you to Lewis, Gemma, and Leanne. And any final sort of words before we ask you to leave? That'd be fantastic.
No, just from me, just thank you again. Like we said in the presentation, just cheers for all your efforts. And if you do need anything, you know, I know a quarter or every 6 months is quite a long time away, but if you need anything, you know, contact Gemma or myself, and we'll support you as best we can.
Many thanks. I know that I'll speak to you later. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.
Contractors
Bye.
only at this stage, if we can.
Bye.
Okay, I'm just going to stop the recording, if I may, first.